I came over last night from our London office. I've got everything crossed right now that giving a presentation on the digital economy, the irony is not going to follow me any further than the radio interview that I did this morning where it cut out twice. So hopefully we're all going to be good with the technology today. So I guess before I move on to what I'm going to cover, I should do a quick overview of who I am and why I'm here. So I lead all of our policy development and campaigning on anything that you could factor in as being part of the digital economy, essentially, which is really broad, and you'll see why when we come on to trying to define the digital economy. But essentially, what it means at the moment I'm particularly focused on is a digital single market at the European level and everything that comes with that, and that's telecoms policy, that's data protection policy, that's cyber security policy. At the domestic level, there's a lot about connectivity, which I know Jonathan from Ofcom will go into a bit more detail. And I also look at cyber security and skills and capabilities at the domestic level as well. I will touch on all of those briefly today, but this is very much going to be a scene-setting exercise for the more detailed presentations to come. So, what will I cover? As I said, I'll try and define the digital economy, which isn't an easy task. No one seems to be able to do it. I'll try and give a quick overview of why it's so important that the CBI is active in this space because of some of the challenges that come with the policy environment surrounding new technology, but I won't dwell on that. And what does digital mean for your business? Again, very, very broadly speaking, with a view to getting some more detailed meat on the bones from our business case studies later on. And also what the CBI is doing on this agenda, what we've done most recently, and what our forward-looking plans are for the next 6 to 12 months, and ways for you to get involved. So bear with me, the technology is faulting me because I have a passcode on my iPad. Truly digital, I tried to do my speaking notes online today. See, you know, it all comes down to me. Don't blame the technology, blame the user. So, what is the digital economy? So, I've tried to pick a few things that I would say relate to what we're trying to say when we talk about digital in society. What I would say is exactly what Colin said in his opening remarks, which was the digital economy is now absolutely synonymous with the traditional economy. So, I can't think of a business going that wouldn't have automated processes, email, etc. But then it's stepped up a gear beyond that. So when we talk about a digital economy, we're talking about the way we sell to our customers and the way we interact with our customers via digital platforms, and the money and the growth that our business can recoup from that. We're talking about the way we bank and purchase. We're talking about how we connect across borders, how we access new markets, how we sell to new markets remotely without necessarily having to have a physical presence. We're talking about how we invest in, develop and distribute interesting content, and that can be from the Netflix point of view. I don't know how many of you are as political buffs as I am and binged out on House of Cards this weekend, but that's clearly been a high growth model over the last 5 years or so. Spotify and Twitter, just to flag Anthea's hashtag social media in this event today, so if you're all logged onto your Wi-Fi, please do join in. So we were joking in the office when I was knocking these slides together on Friday that I needed a pop culture reference beside House of Cards about what all this means for business. And so in this bottom corner here, what I wanted to say really was around data. And if you can see, all of these things are connected by data. Everything that we do is about how we look at our customers and how we ethically track and utilise the trends in that data. And we were joking that if you can see data and its value to your business, then you really can see the matrix. And I was told not to crack that joke, but I promised, I'd try. So what does this mean then for the policy landscape and what's going on out there in terms of how we receive this new technology and how we react to the digital economy? So really, increasingly, people are describing this as the fourth revolution. The way we develop our platforms, the way we interact with our customers is really it's the way we use digital technology is the electrification of the 21st century. So if you look at these images that demonstrate the different revolutions that society has gone through, you can pitch them as being roughly 100 years apart, and with each of those 100 years there has been resistance to change, there have been policy challenges and regulatory challenges, there have been people who said no, we don't want this here, and there have been people who can't see the benefits that it would later bring. And I would say that the digital revolution, if we want to call it that, probably came with the advent of the internet about, how long ago is that now, about 30 years ago, and increased use of email and increased online. And over that period of time there have been different challenges with how that's been received, whether we want, and I know this might be alluded to later, masts in our backyard that give us the mobile connectivity that we need, whether it's about wanting our personal anonymised data to be tracked, whether it's about wanting different companies to know exactly who we are, what we want, and tailor their offer to us. There's resistance around this, and there's different debates going on around the regulatory interventions that should be made. But I think where the CBI is coming from and where the business community is definitely coming from, and this is reflected in our work plan, which I'll discuss later on, is actually that the opportunities really outweigh the risks. The opportunities based on different aspects of the digital economy can be summed up in a few different figures. So database services and products are worth about 330 billion euros to the entire EU per annum up to 2020. So if the potential of if we all knew what we were doing with data is huge. The socio-economic opportunities beyond what a business can do and beyond what you might think about your interactions with customers goes beyond buying and selling. So in the R&D sector, the progress that's being made with healthcare and curing diseases by tracking trends. In the education sector, the interventions that are made in a child's education based on the trajectory and the track they're going down, early interventions. And things like the way our public services are run and traffic flows, data and where we are on our mobile phones. I don't know if anyone saw The Leader in The Economist this weekend, is really changing the way our services function. So it's not just a commercial issue, it's a social issue too. For every 10% more houses we connect via telecoms and the internet, we could get 1.5% more GDP growth and 20 more million jobs as the result of that growth. Also, the UK in particular is an e-commerce leader. So if we take B2C sales across the whole EU, 3.5% of those sales are online. In the UK, that number's 12%. We're the European leader. But interestingly, not all businesses are taking up that opportunity. Only 27% are doing their selling online. So what we can see here is a massive opportunity, but untapped potential. And a lot of that is around the ease in which we're able to use that technology and the possible regulatory burdens that might follow. So, what are the CBI doing about some of the challenges? And some of the real challenges that we've identified recently are connectivity, access to the right speeds, access to mobile connectivity. Even basic mobile connectivity in rural areas really prevents businesses from getting off the ground. If you're running a modern farming business, all your milk is monitored online using data analytics, milk prices, when to sell, when to yield, all those kinds of things. If you've not got the rural mobile connectivity that you need, even just the basic level, you can't function. And so this is a real issue that we need to overcome. E-commerce barriers. There's a lot here around customer trust. There's a lot around, if you want to sell online across borders, the different consumer protection regulations that are in place, as well as the different company registration regulations that are in place. These are all things that we need to address in the digital age. There's different debates around access to data and access to content, and you're either on one side of the debate or the other. Either everything is open flow and everything is a free-for-all and you can access whatever you want by this magical tool, the internet, But then equally, as a UK that has got a strong creative industry economy, how do we also protect and reinvest in the content that's made available freely on the internet? And then underpinning all of this, of course, is the very important issue of security. But if we can overcome all of those, what we're saying is we've got a global business environment. The scope for your business, whether you're operating here in Northern Ireland, in the UK, in the EU or beyond, is so much bigger than it's ever been before, because you don't necessarily have to travel to access those new markets anymore. It can be done remotely and virtually. So what is the CBI doing? So there's a number of different things. I'd be happy to be corrected at the end or have any input into what we're missing. But very recently, I mentioned at the beginning that I'd been working on the digital single market. So the big piece of work that is due to come out of the European Commission that will affect all the member states is a digital single market proposal. It's due in May, and it will be about what we do to more seamlessly operate digitally across the EU. And there are two sides to this. There's the side that the consumer experiences, so this goes to what I was talking about, open access to content and being able to watch TV wherever you are. I don't know how many of you need to travel across Europe for business, but if you go, as I do quite often, to Brussels, for example, Netflix isn't happening. So I wouldn't, as I did last night, be able to catch up on the next instalment of House of Cards, second plug. So there is that. We equally have proposals due within that package around telecoms and connectivity. That will be one of the first things to come up. Data protection, which is already ongoing, as those of you following the debate, a little controversially at that level. And then also things around e-commerce and how we better connect businesses and get them selling to other member states at the other side of the continent. But in turn, how then does that relate to other trade deals, for example, that might be on the table, and how we digitally interact with other countries around the world? But we don't just operate at that EU and global level, and we're not just looking at the bigger picture. We're looking at everyday domestic policy challenges as well, and I think the biggest one, and I think we'll talk about it a lot today, is connectivity. It's access to connectivity and it's skill sets within businesses. So it's all very well having this far-flung idea, and as I did say, it was agenda setting and setting the scene. It's all very well having this idea of the untapped potential of the digital economy, but everybody has to start somewhere, and skill sets and capabilities are a real challenge, and that's something that I'll be looking to address at the latter part of this year. But to date, I think connectivity has been the biggest issue, and what we're seeing here is a shift to the desire for mobile, but not many of the policy solutions that get it up and running. Finally, there are a couple of bits and pieces around cybersecurity awareness, which I won't go into detail now because I'm conscious I've been going on a little bit. But I think there's an importance in bringing businesses together to share best practice. So it's not all just about policy solutions, it's not all just about getting the regulatory environment right. What we see in all of this is when people do get up and running, there's a disconnect between an awareness that there's probably a little bit of a risk, but not doing anything about it. And it's forums like this that are really useful to chat about those issues. So that is it from me. I hope that sets out what people are going to talk about suitably for the day. I'm happy to take any questions or, of course, feedback later on in the question and answer session or afterwards if you want to grab me. There's more detail that I can go into if people have got questions. There are things that I've written that I can share. So please, as I say, get in touch. If you don't want to chat to me today, if you've got to shoot off, then please do just drop me a line. Thank you.